Good morning from Round Rock, Texas at the USA Ultimate D1 College Championships, presented by Spin Ultimate. Find more about Spin Ultimate at spinultimate.com. We are in our quarterfinal play where the University of North Carolina is taking on University of California, Santa Barbara. The winner will get to advance on to the semifinals. It's bracket play today, and both teams doing well in pool play, but a little different path for UCSB versus UNC, Becky.
Yeah, UCSB had to face off against Ohio State in their pool, who was the number 2 seed overall. So unfortunately losing that one on Universe, although pushing them to a double game point situation. UCSB finished second in their pool and having to move on to the pre-quarters. They won that one in a close game against Georgia 12-10, whereas UNC swept their pool with fair amount of ease. They had no one score more than 5 points against them, so they got a bye through the pre-quarters, so may possibly be a bit well rested for this quarterfinal.
I'm Emmy Fitzgerald alongside Becky Thompson, and we are so excited for the first pull to go up. UNC in the dark jerseys right off the bat. They look for their freshman Ella Youngst in the end zone, but incomplete. So Julia Kwasnick will pick up for UC Santa Barbara. That disc is high and floating, batted down. Got a lot of air from Meisner.
And not a lot of options for UCSB right off the bat. And we've seen a few teams happy to get field possession off those turned hucks, and it looks like UNC has taken advantage of that.
And looks to the front cone. Youngst, again the intended receiver, but incomplete. So Kwasnick will pick up, and first throw goes back to North Carolina.
You can see Childress there tapping her chest saying, "My bad." I don't think she was aware that the disc had come up to her.
So pass up this forced sideline. Anna Worth to Youngst right outside the end zone. Another quick dish to Smith. And the reset, incomplete.
And
Both teams struggling a little bit to find their flow on offense. So Santa Barbara back with the disc. And Kwasnick through coverage manages to read that. She shoots a straight shot that was falling fast to the ground. Bounces off of her receiver, Caitlin Weaver's hands. So now North Carolina needs to go the full 70. We'll see their first possession. They looked for a huck. Here it goes again. And really nice grab. You can see the quality of the grass with the amount of slide that Worth had after that.
And the tremendous amount of speed on display from Worth there as well. UNC knows that they have, I think, the mismatch in their receivers, and I'm not going to be surprised if we see them looking for that huck time and time again.
So Kwasnick back with the disc, shoots downfield. That is complete. Getting back to Kwasnick. Shoots for the end zone, and that is a goal. And a break to start the game from UC Santa Barbara. What do you make of this, Becky?
A great start here from UCSB, and I was just talking about the speed on display from UNC, but Santa Barbara answering back with a great strike cut of their own, and throwers like Julia Kwasnick are going to take advantage of that every time. You see the way Kwasnick was able to go 1 and 2 with her receivers, getting the disc back on those dish passes, and she made it look pretty easy as she sliced through their defense, and off to a great start. A few mistakes from the #1 seed here to get us started as well.
And even in pool play, despite what the scores show from North Carolina, there was a lot of wind out here, and so still a lot of turns from this Pleiades squad. So how do you think other teams might capitalize on that in bracket play?
I mean, we've talked so much about how the weather has affected this whole weekend, but when it comes to capitalizing on those moments, you have to take your opportunities. It's so critical to take advantage of any opportunity that comes to you, and there's only so many chances this #1 seed is going to give you. So if UCSB can continue to take advantage of those moments, they could go on quite a good run here.
So Kwasnik will pull. I mean, Kwasnik was pretty much every other for UCSB, and I think North Carolina will key into that with their matchups. But for now, Carolina on offense. Smith with the disc, center field, and a bobble, handler miscommunication, puts UCSB in the red zone. A chance for a second break. Kwasnik with the strike cut. Little switch from North Carolina. And over the top, out of reach for Yang. Kind of looked like that maybe that was an overthrow to Kwasnik.
I think Kwasnik was definitely the intended receiver on that one, and unfortunately not able to take advantage this time.
So Carolina on offense. Youngst, standout freshman on the team. Slices through, but the disc will come back. Oh, a pick called. So that's why Smith was so very open for that swing pass. So check back in. Looking to get it off the line. She'll go up line instead. Raider gets that over to Fagan. And right on the goal line, North Carolina answers back. We're all tied up at ones.
Kwasnik was so close on that D opportunity there as Fagan went for that inside-out flick. Those inside shots have to be perfect, and it was in this situation for UNC. And now we're seeing a situation where UNC turned it over right at the start of the point, but when they got it back, they made no mistakes. They worked it up the field. They worked that far sideline, but they made it look pretty easy as well and into the hands of Ella Youngst in the end zone.
And just so close for UCSB to come up with 2 breaks in a row, but North Carolina taking care of business. That's a nice fake from Fagan. And Youngst is a name that you will hear a lot.
Yeah, Ella Youngst has been a standout freshman in this division this year. She was a member of the U20 USA team that competed at the World Junior Ultimate Championships in 2018, winning the gold medal, and was a standout player for them as well. And I mean, I'm not sure if there's any team she could go to where she wouldn't be a standout player.
I think that is pretty certain. I have been waiting for this moment because she played on DC Rogue YCC against the North Carolina YCC team and knew she was committing to UNC. An interception. That was from Sydney Raider. So North Carolina with a chance to get the break back. Slices to Fagan. Right outside the goal line, continues on. And North Carolina answers quickly. Alice Wang gets that goal.
And Wang was a player that, talking to Coach Lindsay Sue before the game, was highlighted thoroughly. She has had an outstanding tournament, particularly Sue mentioned her defense, but here showing us her ability to get open on defense, and UNC bringing it back on serve right away after that early break from UCSB.
With really tight, suffocating defense. Now they will take the lead, 2-1. Sydney Rader, another freshman. She was on the North Carolina Warhawks, who ended up winning the YCC championship. You see several of those Warhawks players on college teams throughout this tournament. Lindsay Sue had a great article in Ultiworld really talking about the impact that freshmen are making on the game because of really strong youth programs throughout the country. And she's really seen firsthand on her squad. You have freshmen where 10 years ago, 5 years ago, most freshmen don't even know how to throw a flick. And it's still okay if you're a freshman coming to play and you don't know, but man, what a difference they make.
Yeah, absolutely. Bringing that kind of depth into your team as a freshman and being able to contribute from the moment you step on that field day one to your last day as a senior as well.
So UCSB looking for the end zone. That is floating and gobbled down. Rader is there again. She'll tap it in and launches, intercepted, goes back to the Burning Skirts. Santa Barbara really hoping to keep it on serve, but the cutter's not getting a lot of vertical cuts. You see a lot of horizontal cuts up until that point where Childress came under. Put to space. A little too far out.
We've seen Audrey Brown fly so many times throughout the course of the weekend. She has the ability to really track down any disc, but that one unfortunately was, I think, always sailing out of bounds.
So Rader goes up the sideline. She finds her teammate. That pass, some give and go. North Carolina trying to get their second break, but because they were broken, it's sort of like -1 back to 0. Now they will get their first break to go ahead of serve. And high up over the top, 2 North Carolina receivers, and it's caught. That's a score.
So despite a shaky first point for this North Carolina team, they've now gone on a run, 3 unanswered points here, and proving to us exactly why they are the #1 seed in this tournament and why they made it look so easy throughout their pool play as well this weekend.
And so that was one thing we spoke about with the coaching staff from North Carolina before this game. How do you really prepare your team when you have pretty wide score margins? But they said that the team is pretty motivated.
Yeah, they've been focusing on the moments that they can control in those games and building through from the first half to the second half as well, focusing on their systems and what they can improve on. So they've been trying to really work out any kinks that might have possibly been there, and clearly that is happening right now, and they're looking pretty flawless.
And not afraid to take the shots. That's, yes, technically upwind, but it's pretty still so far this morning.
Yeah, compared to the wind we've had throughout the weekend, the morning games have definitely been the best time of the day, both in terms of the heat and the wind. We see cooler temperatures right now, and I think these players are really going to benefit from the time. And we were talking about this earlier, Emmy. It's great to have early games, but a dropped pull from UCSB.
So now a goal line opportunity for North Carolina if they can capitalize. It's falling to the ground, still caught, and a dish. Pleiades gobble that one up right away. And just like that, they take a 3-1 lead in this first half.
That's Ann Worth with her second assist of the game already, finding Parker in the end zone. And UCSB, a dropped pull early in this game. Such an unfortunate thing to happen. We've all been in that position. It just looked like it slid through the hands there. And UNC, 10 yards out from the end zone, are going to take advantage of those opportunities.
So after that first point, very few turnovers from UNC. I'm not sure if we have really had a turnover from them since that first point, because they have really converted on their break opportunities. But for Santa Barbara, this is the time. Glad that the sidelines are staying loose, and you want to have a short memory on those unfortunate drop pulls, Callahans, things like that. Stay loose.
Yeah, unfortunately, mistakes do happen. We've all been in those shoes. So, like you said, staying loose and letting it go. It happened. You move on. You do what you need to refocus and think about the next play.
So UCSB picking up the disc on offense. Looking for Childress on that undercut. They're looking for Kwasnick. She gains a lot of yards up to Winslow. Kwasnick with the give and the go, the high release, but Fagan was hanging out. There is a call on the play.
Let's see. Rebecca Fagan and Julia Kwasnick discussing this. The observer was right there as well, so would have had a good view. And get a replay of this. Audrey Brown just popped that up. I think Fagan got to that disc before Kwasnick had an opportunity to go up for it, but I think some contact possibly in the motion, but I'm not sure it would have affected the outcome. And you can see the observer there, Sam Shapiro, saying there was no foul.
And Fagan saw that throw going up from a mile away. So Rader will walk up, tap it in. Just a beautiful throw. Floats high though, and Kwasnick is there for the block. And the throw just a little too wide. The cutter was starting to kind of be right behind where the throw's defender was, making that a more difficult placement. So North Carolina working the unders pretty quickly, striking up the line to Colton. And a little too quick from the handler movement.
Yeah, you could see Dawn Colton there wanted to get that quick dish and strike up line right away and just misjudging where her receiver was.
So that is flying high. Elsa Winslow using everything to maybe get that extra inch.
Maybe a little bit of wind picking up here as well, so a good opportunity for field position. We've seen UCSB once on this point be able to get the disc back from here. Julia Kwasnick with a D on Rebecca Fagan. We'll see if they can do it again.
So Rader shoots across inside to Colton. And Parker finds the reset, and Rader swings over to Fagan. Really nice cut there from Maggie Adams. Nice use of swings from North Carolina. Attacking that break side. They find the opening. Rebecca Fagan gets the goal. And North Carolina goes up 5-1 in the first half.
And North Carolina so far has had 5 different players score all 5 of their points. So we've talked about their stars, but showing us their depth as well early in this game. And there's the D here from Rebecca Fagan. But we saw UNC just march it up the field when they got that chance. I love the way that when their throwers throw up that pump fake, the cutters are immediately turning to come under. They're so aware of what's happening behind them, and those kinds of heads-up play are what separates some of these best teams from the rest of the field.
So much patience. I like here the big fake that causes all of the defenders to go to the break side. Rebecca Fagan just stays put, and she's wide open for that goal.
See a fun little celebration there from North Carolina as well. And I think a good moment for UCSB to call a timeout. They scored the very first point of the game, but since then, 5 unanswered points from UNC, 4 breaks in a row, and I think from UNC and UCSB is going to have to find a little bit of momentum of their own. We saw what they could do on that first point. They got the turns from UNC. They took advantage and had some beautiful strike cuts. So just need to get some of that movement and not get too worried about the fact that UNC has pulled away right now.
We've seen some wild comebacks on all across the tournament on the live streams, and that's what makes bracket play so interesting.
Yeah, yesterday we had a men's pre-quarter game on this field between Wisconsin and Texas, and Wisconsin was down 11-7 with not much time left in the game, and they went on an unanswered run. Texas not scoring another point in that one. Wisconsin ended up winning it 13-11. And you mentioned comebacks, but earlier in this season, UNC at the Northwest Challenge was leading UBC by quite a few points as well. I believe it was 11-7, 11-6 or something like that, and they were unable to retain that lead. UBC made a massive comeback there, so I think UCSB will take some consolation from the fact that they know teams have broken back, they know teams can come back against this UNC team, and they'll refocus in this moment.
So hopefully UCSB, for their sake, can make those little adjustments, while UNC has found some rhythm and will want to keep that rolling through. And the parents are definitely morning people, keeping the stands excited. Kwasnick, really the commander of this offense. Continue over to Winslow. Childress stays on the break side, but we've seen those break backhands just pop up all weekend.
Yeah, the wind taking those throws. They have to be released very low. It was a good cut from Bedard, but Brown gets it right back here.
So Santa Barbara hoping to convert and get their offensive hold here. And straight to 2 people, but that's too low, hits the ground. And it's a rip from North Carolina. Lots of floaty hang time. Just beautiful read from Alex Barnett. And so much patience then to get it to Rippey. Sails up overhead, and nobody's home.
A miscommunication there, I think. Thinking that Wang was going to cut back into that middle space of the field, but had started her movement up line.
So Childress with the disc looks for the strike cut, and then that continue. So much time. Lots of folks under that pile, and UNC bats it down. So North Carolina looking for another break. Across the stack. That's a nice layout, but too far out of reach. So Santa Barbara, another chance to get this score here. North Carolina, while they were pretty tight on their conversions the past couple of points, have given them other opportunities. UCSB also getting some turns of their own. Childress rips that out of the air. What an answer from the Burning Skirts.
A huge grab from Childress, something to get their team amped up right now. And maybe not the prettiest of points, a few turnovers, but a great response out of the timeout nonetheless. This is exactly what UCSB needed to do, convert their hold, and now get their D on the field to focus on that break.
And that was just fingertips away from completing.
It looked a little like Younks hesitated, thinking it might not hang up in the air, and then realized it was and decided to go for that bid. So it was a little too far away. She took a little stutter step before it there.
But how about that athleticism from Jasmine Childress, the graduate student from Muncie, Indiana.
You can see
I love it.
some of those UNC fans in front of the UCSB family there. They're having a lot of fun. It's good to have that kind of energy coming from the fans, helping your sideline stay energized as well. And certainly no problems with energy for either of these teams here early in the morning.
Shout out to all the Ultimate parents and grandparents. You know who you are, and you've sat in the sun and watched a lot of Ultimate, both good and bad, over the years. Nice floating throw from UNC. Inside break, continues on. And just so much quickness from Youngst. You even see just getting open for that short cut. Got it back to Smith. Inside. Almost a block from the defense, but North Carolina is hanging on. A lot of very quick disc movement. And right on the goal line. And that is a score.
And so much discipline on display from UNC on that point. Just the three players really working it through that end zone set. You can see Younks looking for the cutter, who went up line, moving it now back out of the way, clearing out, making room for Misner to cut up line into that space, and the rest of the stack gave them so much room to execute, and really a great set. You see the double high five there. They really did earn that point.
And that discipline will serve, has been serving them well, and will continue to. And UCSB working hard. North Carolina had to make a lot of passes to score that point. But I'm sure UCSB is hopeful that they can really convert here and not take as much time.
Yeah, we've mentioned efficiency a few times this weekend, but it is really critical to be able to execute that O point and get your D on the field, especially in situations when you have a bit of a hole to climb out of here. So you really need to focus on getting those holds. But I think a couple good holds in a row here for UCSB can still reassure them that they are in this game. They just need to keep executing, and we've seen them do it already so far.
So the pull from Elizabeth Parker. It's caught and centered. Brown floats that out for Kwasnick. Kwasnick immediately looking up the field. That backhand floats one-on-one. Santa Barbara stays with it. Lauren Bedard finds her receiver, and just like we called it, UCSB answers right away, just a handful of passes to get that point.
Really great execution from UCSB on that point. Maybe a little bit of a set play. They got Kwasnick going up line, and when Kwasnick gets the disc in that power position, we've got to see her ripping those shots, and she makes no mistakes. A really great grab here from Bedard. It got tapped by the defense, but she kept her eyes on it the whole way and was then able to get Weaver open in the end zone for the goal. And keeping within 3 here, UCSB is not going to go away easily in this game, Emmy.
So they're down by 3, but maintaining the holds are critical. If you can maintain the holds, then you start to figure out what you can do to get a break, but breaks are much tougher if you're not keeping things working on offense. So half is at 8. When it's warmer, there are different levels depending on the temperature of heat advisories. So sometimes there'll be mandatory heat timeouts. That is not the case this morning, so far at least. Some space in the middle. Swing into the side there to Worth. And another handler miscommunication from North Carolina. This gives the break chance for Santa Barbara. And just throwing into really tight spaces, Bridget Meisner goes and gets that one back for North Carolina.
North Carolina showing that their offensive line can fight for the disc on defense as well.
So another chance. That pops up and just snatched down by Childress. Called a foul. Looked like she was going to wind up, and there were just all the people right there. So hands over to Kwasnick. Underneath it, a layout from Youngst. Gets it back to North Carolina. She's uncovered in the deep space, finds that throw. Continuing on just outside the end zone. North Carolina trying to take it within 1 of half. Another short pass, still not in. But that's a goal for North Carolina.
Ella Youngst gets herself the bookends here. And a phenomenal layout D, but the way she got off her feet so quickly and was already sprinting towards the end zone after that layout is the mark of such an incredible player here. Put her hands on her knees, expending quite a lot of effort on this field right now, but UNC, they turned the disc over twice from their O-line here, but immediately, both times, lay out Ds to get the disc back.
And UCSB with a chance to break, but North Carolina making those opportunities happen for them to get the disc back.
See how open Youngst was after that layout D, just took such advantage of the transition. Didn't matter that the disc came in to her hands nicely, but no defense around to attack it. And then they took advantage. They're so patient in this red zone, Emmy.
And just so incredibly crucial. They also have a really good awareness of when to clear as well. I mean, you can see textbook. We've seen a lot of dancing in the end zone and in that forced space throughout the tournament. The only dancing they're doing is in celebration after a score. Just such clean offense. UCSB hoping for a clean offense of their own. They don't find it right there. Gives another chance for North Carolina. They shoot over the top. See what they're trying to do, but too deep.
Something a little bit more creative there from North Carolina. We've seen them be so disciplined with that end zone set, but this time opting to go for that over-the-top high release throw to try to get it into the hands of the receiver, but now a chance back to Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara with a lot of great movement. Just some connection points. And looking deep. It's caught. Smartly looking for the reset. Immediately will attack that break side. Coming back to the middle. Looked like the thrower was trying to find the end zone, but if it's not wide open at that point, just keep working it on the reset. Float and a grab out of the air. Santa Barbara scoring when they need to, keeps North Carolina from taking half and gets the deficit to 3.
See Audrey Brown working through this handling set here for UCSB. It looks like they've taken Julia Kwasnick off the O-line here, maybe resting her for those D points to try to get the break, as Caitlin Weaver there ripped her 3rd goal of the game out of the air. 3 goals out of the 4 points here for UCSB. She's been pretty awesome in the end zone. And a couple holds in a row now. We've had a few trades, and I think this is a really good thing for this UCSB team. And maybe 1 break, 2 breaks before half could really change the momentum.
Significantly so. And clearly Kwasnick has been a mainstay for UC Santa Barbara, but it is important that the rest of the team are able to function properly in her absence, and they've really demonstrated that there, showing patience of their own. Also, the cutters in that offense were able to gain good separation too, so North Carolina's not in that spot where they can get a layout, they can run through. If the throw goes a little too high, the offense has time to get it.
So UCSB took a timeout here. UNC just bringing their 7 on the line for the O-line in to chat. And I think UCSB using this opportunity to really amp themselves up to try to get another break back before halftime here. They know that they can break this team. They did it on the very first point of the game, so just need to keep fighting for those discs.
So the winner of this game has a chance to play in the semifinals. It just gets harder and harder after this, though, doesn't it, Becky?
I mean, there is no easy road to the finals here, and it's a bit of a cliche, but if you're going to win this tournament, you have to beat everybody at some point. Dartmouth had a small upset in their pool. They beat Carleton, who was seated 1 spot ahead of them, putting them into this side of the bracket as the #1 seed out of Pool D. And they're facing off against Western Washington right now. Of course, Dartmouth is the 2-time reigning champions, and Western Washington has had a great tournament so far. So the winner of this game will have to face the winner of Western Washington, Dartmouth, and the challenges are never too many at this point.
Gotta keep grinding. That's what makes it fun. As North Carolina is working the undercuts. There's Youngst, Childress on the mark. And another swing pass from North Carolina that's incomplete.
I think we've seen the majority of UNC's turnovers in those handler reset passes as well.
So this is the break chance that they're looking for, but Youngst just lying in wait. And Youngst will call the foul on herself.
Get a second look at this. Brown puts that one around. I think it was a great bid from Youngst. It looked like there was a little bit of contact into the back. The observer in the discussion. So the foul call is upheld by the observer. So the disc will stay here with Childress. Still have the opportunity to get this break.
So UCSB in scoring position. Gets it to Kwasnick. Over to Childress. Little give and go in the back space. And I think Youngst got a hand on that disc.
That was absolutely a hand block from Ella Youngst. A great read on that disc, and it looks like she's got Childress's number in her pocket right now.
So North Carolina on offense. Straight shot up the line. Childress macks it to Youngst. And Kwasnick makes the bid, but can't quite get there, so. But before UNC can really use that momentum, there's a pick called, so disc will go back.
Fortunate for Childress not to get that D down. She got up as high as she possibly could, got a hand on it, and still into the hands of Youngst there.
So a quick dish. About a foot off of the goal. Lots of strike cuts in that corner. Slices through and bobbled to the ground.
And I believe there was a stall down called on the throw as well. So it will be a turnover no matter what, but the discussion just on where the disc will be on the field. That stall count was definitely climbing, Emmy. So UNC running out of options on the end zone line for the first time, really. We've seen them be so efficient, especially in that corner of the end zone, rotating through their cutters. But this time, I think UCSB really tightening up that defense.
And we've seen the struggles that North Carolina have had swinging it off the line. And so that helps the defense then to say, okay, well, you're not going to get it in the strike cut, and you're having trouble on the swing. So UCSB will take it, and Childress can't hang on to it. So another opportunity for North Carolina. Try to take half by 4. It hangs and bounces off of Youngst's hands. So Kwasnick will pick up. Childress is going deep. It's hanging a lot. She comes down with 2 hands. Has only one of her teammates in the end zone. That next throw, though, is not good. Call a timeout if you don't have an option.
It's exactly what I was going to say, Emmy. They took a timeout before this point, so maybe not wanting to use another one, but
can't afford not to, especially if UNC is actively working, but a pick called. Actually, I think it was a injury sub.
Yeah, Childress walking off the field. She's been involved in a few moments on this point. She had that contact from Youngst earlier in the point and really putting it out there on the line on that strike cut. So hopefully she's doing all right. You see her walk off the field with her coach, and she's been an important member of this UCSB team. So it'd be good if we can see her back on the field at some point. I hope she's all right.
So Tyler Smith will check it in where the injury occurred. Lots of float and close enough to the sideline where that is batted down.
Caitlin Weaver is having a really great game so far. She's got 3 goals to her name and adding a couple Ds to that tally too. We're seeing some of the handlers here for UCSB really come into their own as
through coverage. Kwasnick showing why she's just so good. Nice grab on the swing pass, high release. And that's a goal for UC Santa Barbara. They'll take it within 2.
And a really hard-fought point here. And we talk about how points earlier in the game can really define an entire game as well. And this break before UNC has a chance to take halftime is so critical, and they worked really hard for it. They fought through the multiple turns and then eventually showing some patience right at the end zone to work it in.
So lots of physicality and intensity from both squads. But in the end, UC Santa Barbara is who is able to capitalize.
UNC taking a timeout here. Understandable. They were up 5-1, Emmy, and UCSB has managed to close the gap back to 2 points here. And I think they know how important it is for them to take halftime before UCSB can gain a little bit more momentum. But both teams have done some really great things. But like you said, we've seen UNC struggle on those swing passes to the middle of the field. And I think UCSB is aware of that now and has really applied some really intense handler defense in this second part of the first half.
Talking with the UCSB coaching staff before the game, saying it's just incredible to see the growth even just through one tournament that can bring for nationals. What do you think, Becky, the experience of a nationals tournament or an international tournament, what kind of effect does that have on a team?
Well, I think it just brings up your overall level of play. I mean, you get that much kind of experience in those big games where you start to understand that teams can go on runs. You start to understand how to even focus on your matchups individually as well as those team matchups and those big moments that you're trying to accomplish. It's also the pressure and you're understanding how to handle these moments. And for this UCSB team in particular, we talked about this in their game on Friday, but this is a second year in a row they've returned to this tournament. Last year, they broke a drought and their entire team came to the tournament for the first ever time at nationals. So now able to return this year with players who gained that critical experience last year and is clearly paying off for them with this quarterfinals appearance as they're fighting back right now.
North Carolina on offense. Find Youngst underneath. Nice continuation to Worth. center and continue. Raider with the disc. Finds Colton. Over the top to Raider. That floats, but just outside the end zone. And Youngst with so much acceleration. She wasn't even that far from the front cone, but her first step, it has so much power that she's really able to find that separation so close in tight spaces.
We've seen UNC not too worried about those tight spaces a few times in this game already. As you see, the first cut comes and then clears right away to let that room come in for Ella Youngst. And Ella Youngst now with 3 goals and an assist in this game. A great first half as they now lead by 3 points at 8-5.
So North Carolina, despite going down by 1 to start the game, are ahead by 3. They have 8. UC Santa Barbara has 5. We will be right back where you'll hear from some Live Ultimate ambassadors shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back at the half. Emmy Fitzgerald here with 2 of our illustrious Live Ultimate ambassadors, Jessie Schaffner and Carolyn Normile. And we've had a pretty exciting first half so far. Jessie, what have you seen from North Carolina?
Some of the things I've seen from North Carolina is that they are clearly well coached and committed to an approach and a system. And that system is elevated, and something I'm not seeing from a lot of teams in the division right now, especially with this wind. But we're not seeing the consistent execution. I'm a little disappointed in some of the reset turns that are coming from them. But I think that they can clean that up throughout the game. They're clearly still getting the job done, but if they want to save their legs for the remainder of their target on this title game, then we want to see them execute on those simple centering passes and dump passes.
Great. And then Carolyn, on the UC Santa Barbara side, they started out really making a statement. What have you really seen from the Burning Skirts so far?
Take care, Mike. The Burning Skirts are doing a really great job making those big plays on those away passes. Kwasnick and Childress are really coming down with a lot of exciting stuff. And I think if they keep doing that, they keep putting up those shots, they're going to keep doing well because that's what's working against UNC right now.
And I couldn't help but notice the really fun shirts and tank tops you're wearing. Not just available to Live Ultimate ambassadors, but you too, wherever you're watching this, can pick one up as well, right?
Yeah, I swung by the tent and actually picked this one up for myself outside of what we were already being given for the launch. There's a lot of good stuff down there at the VC tent.
Yeah, I love this shirt.
We love it too, Carolyn. We really do. So really quick hot take, 10 seconds. What are each of you looking forward to in the second half?
I want to see if Childress gets back in this game, right? She went off, and see if they can make an impact there.
I want UNC to start playing better, more consistent offense, making those deep shots and really having them connect. And we need them to do that if they want to win a national championship.
I'm looking forward to an exciting game. Thank you both so much for joining us, and we'll be right back with the second half. Welcome back at the half, where North Carolina leads UC Santa Barbara 8-5. And the second half pull is underway. Emmy Fitzgerald here with Becky Thompson. And UC Santa Barbara starting on offense, but an execution error right off the bat. So North Carolina will get the disc, a chance to start the second half of play with the break. Slices through, really looking to complete. That pops up, gives that chance for Santa Barbara to take their deficit back within 2. There's Kwasnick. And just the same look, also too wide to the receiver. So Fagan will continue on to Barnett. And she has to go to the ground to get that disc, but she's there. Parker looking for the next pass in the end zone set, and the bobble stays alive. Alice Wang to Parker. They'll continue, and the handler reset, or handler continuation, incomplete. So Santa Barbara, another shot on offense. Looking for the end zone, that's hanging a lot. Kwasnick is the target. There she is, gets that score.
And Kwasnick did a great job of boxing Fagan out on that play. She got the body position, she stayed with it, and followed that disc as it was dropping pretty quickly into the end zone as well. And once again, another point similar to the first half, where we're seeing multiple turnovers from both teams, but UCSB find a way to take advantage. And we're seeing Caitlin Weaver on the end of these hucks putting up these big throws. When we saw her earlier in the weekend and earlier in this game, she was on the receiving end in the end zone, so showing she can do it on both sides of the disc as well.
So UCSB starts the second half getting a score. What they really needed. They went down. They started up and then went down quite a bit, and have now kind of maintained these possessions. North Carolina doing a lot, but it was that big huck, the great body out from Kwasnick, that will eventually pay off.
It's a great matchup between Kwasnick and Fagan as well. Fagan, of course, a Callahan Award finalist here at Nationals this year, and Julia Kwasnick, a member of the U24 USA mixed national team, headed to Worlds this summer in Germany, and the two of them have been battling it out so far in this game.
So the pull goes to midfield, but on the sideline. So Smith puts up a floating disc that is caught out the sideline.
Dawn Colton did a great job to track that down and even get a hand on it. She was so aware of where the sideline was. Unfortunately, her first point of contact out of bounds, but an athletic play anyways.
So Santa Barbara on offense. Childress is back in the game. Had a good first half, did a lot of work, took an injury sub. Live Ultimate Ambassador Jessie Schaffner remarking she hoped to see her back in the second half. Here she is. And just a little too fast. So Smith marches up. Nice around to guess who? Ella Youngst. She gets that goal.
Ella Youngst, another goal to her name, and another assist from Bridget Misner as well. We've seen the two of them combine a few times near the end zone, and we talked about how UNC has so much discipline and trust in their system. The execution hasn't always been there in this game. That was awfully close on that layout. Yeah, the execution not always there through the systems, but this time their system working out perfectly for them. You could see the front of the stack slowly moving forward, cutting hard, clearing out, and then Youngst at the front of the stack for her turn makes a great cut to the break side of the field, and they're looking pretty excited now, Emmy.
So Youngst having a big game so far. Lots of different plays if we want to take a look at what we've seen from her in this first half.
She's been on the assist end, and those little scoop cuts to the near cone, so effective for Ella Youngst, and of course she can do it on defense as well with incredible plays like that.
Just has a lot of calm and composure, building her own legacy at North Carolina.
And building a legacy from a freshman here as well.
So another short pull, and North Carolina is in a zone look for, I think, the first time today. They're pushing towards that far sideline. Fagan on Kwasnik. And the right idea, but Caitlin Weaver's not there.
And we do see this where teams set that zone and then they melt out of it near the end zone. And sometimes for the offensive team, that's actually when the mistakes come, the transition into person offense, and a miscommunication on that one.
So North Carolina back on offense. They are kind of a little off center, but so disciplined. Kwasnik just cherry picks that. And another, it just looks like it maybe timing. I feel like Weaver's been involved with a few of those.
Yeah, both on the throwing and receiving ends, unfortunately. She's had a really outstanding game, but also a few miscues here.
So another interception for Santa Barbara. And North Carolina answers right back with a block of their own. They hope with a score here they can take it to double digits, but Julia Kwasnik has something to say about that.
Looks like there was a touch on that huck just to redirect it slightly. Wasn't going to hang up in the air the way Kwasnik wanted it to. She had a great receiver in Brown heading towards the end zone.
Parker to Rader. Up to Shui. And a roll keeps that alive. Anna Worth. A pick called. Rippey goes around, back to Worth. Inside, and just such nice continuation. And there's Rebecca Fagan. North Carolina gets the score. They are now up by 4. in this second half.
North Carolina with another break in this game, and this time really showing off their discipline. They moved the disc so quickly up into that end zone, and I want to give credit to Ann Worth and the way she was moving through that set. Every time she got the disc, she unleashed a massive pump fake on the mark, making them move, having to commit to it, and then having a wide open, easy pass into the middle each time.
That was also part of what Live Ultimate Ambassador Jessie Schaffner was talking about too, is that system from North Carolina that she really credits to their impeccable coaching.
Yeah, they've been really committed to their system, and any team that has that much trust in a system and it doesn't break down even in these intense moments, even when there are turnovers. Schaffner was saying how they're always looking for that pass that is supposed to come, that cut that is supposed to come from their system. The execution hasn't always been there, but the fact that they're still trusting it and looking to it is still the mark of a really great team.
So the North Carolina defense lined up. A lot of the same players crossing over. They have a break in sight, but they have to get through this Santa Barbara offense first. Kwasnick receiving the disc, and the next tuck goes up. There's Childress. Such a nice read from Childress to grab that one down. And slices through. That disc was turning over quickly.
Those inside shots have to be on point, and unfortunately that one just, I think, the wrong edge released on it on the throw.
So another look up, and Youngst had space. But UCSB working it up that far sideline. Get the swing pass off. Puts it to space. It's caught. Really tight defense downfield from North Carolina, not leaving a lot of cutters with separation. Kwasnick closes in, shoots it right up the line. She will find her teammate, Elsa Winslow. That was a hold that UCSB really needed.
UCSB having to work hard for that one, but finding it after a few attempts. See, Kwasnick catching that disc through the pressure, and she makes no hesitation to put that out into space in front of Winslow. Little slip upon the catch, but she had so much time to run onto that one, and I think UCSB are in a position where they are getting ahead of these defenders. The mismatches are there, the advantages are there, and I think on that one doing a really great job of taking advantage of it.
So they're still down by 3 in the second half.
We've seen them get breaks on this UNC team. They broke once right at the very start of the game, and they broke once just before halftime as well. So 3 points down. They've been in this position before, and they were able to break back, so we'll see if they can do it again. The pressure, I think, definitely being applied to both of these teams right now.
And last check on the score report, Western Washington is leading Dartmouth 6-5. So the winner of that game will face the winner of this game. How about that?
Yeah, that game was a close one. Exciting for everybody involved. Western Washington, as we mentioned, have had a really great tournament so far. They've really, I think, improved as the tournament has gone on as well, and they've started to use their entire roster, a lot of their depth. They have some great stars, but I think that depth has really come into play in this tournament. Dartmouth, of course, stars of their own, but a smaller roster, which could be a bit fatigued in the heat we've had this weekend. It's obviously early still.
It's a chill 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds an average about 8 miles an hour. That's nothing. Sydney Rader picks up the pull. Center to Tyler Smith. Flashing across was Meisner. And a little bit of a poach leaves some North Carolina players open in the middle of the field. Gets the disc back to Smith and Rader. North Carolina doing such a great job isolating their cutters. Youngst goes 2, puts that up the line, and a foul called.
Looks like Colton was going up for that disc with quite a bit of speed, although it did hang up in the air. I think not the throw Youngst intended to put off. But the foul will not be contested upon discussion. A little high five from the players there, so the disc will stay with Don Colton for UNC.
So Colton will check it back in at the front of the end zone. That front corner has been successful. They'll swing it instead. For those strike cuts. Handler slipping a little bit. The swing to the break side. Tyler Smith looking for Youngst. Inside look, and that's a goal, North Carolina.
And this, I think, Emmy, is one of the, possibly the first clean offensive point we've seen from North Carolina. They really worked through the positioning here. Youngst often coming in as that first cutter off the stack, and then finds the inside shot eventually to the hands of Meisner as well. And that's gotta be good here for UNC to finally get their system working perfectly. No turnovers on this point for them.
So North Carolina goes up by 4. Let's see, in addition to the regular coaching staff from North Carolina, actually, I saw Mike DeNardis. Mike DeNardis is just everywhere in the Triangle Ultimate area on the staff for these Pleiades, as well as Lindsay Sue, Jesse Jones, Bridget Johnson. Just love seeing these elite players and coaches investing in the younger talent. We've seen that from UC Santa Barbara as well as North Carolina and a lot of other teams too.
Absolutely, and quick score update from the other quarterfinal. That would be the winner, face the winner of this game, Western Washington, to take half 8-7 over Dartmouth. So a really exciting close matchup there, but right now the quarterfinal in front of you, UCSB. Not too much time until soft cap, but needing to go on a run to come back in this one.
So North Carolina back in the zone set. UCSB, like Becky mentioned, really needing to score right here for a chance.
And Emmy, yesterday we saw Wisconsin in the men's division down 11-7 against Texas and went on a massive run to win it 13-11. So see if UCSB can do something similar.
And just out of the reach, but continues picking up the garbage. UCSB still in it. One-on-ones, and marches it all the way down the field. The goal for UC Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara getting a little bit of luck there, but you make your own luck in those situations. You have to be heads up in not only the conditions, but in any moment in these games. Mistakes do happen, and to have your teammate able to turn around, make that heads up play for the grab, and Santa Barbara here able to convert for the goal. They're still trailing by 3 points, Emmy, but they've shown a lot of promise, especially since that 5-1. They went down 5-1. There was 4 straight breaks from UNC, and since that moment, they've really stayed involved in this game, just haven't been able to close that gap by more than 3 points.
And a lot of patience and heads-up play to keep it in check. So a lot of discipline. We've talked about the discipline from North Carolina, but you really see the discipline from UC Santa Barbara on display as well. So just under 4 minutes left to the soft cap. And this is the time for a break if Santa Barbara wants a shot against either Western Washington or Dartmouth. That semifinal will be live streamed on ESPN3, and a drop right outside the end zone from North Carolina. Over the top, that's the break.
Brown going for that high release backhand over the shoulder of her mark and into the hands then none other than Weaver. UCSB take advantage of the turnover on the goal line, and they get themselves a break back. They bring the gap back to within 2, and Caitlin Weaver, another goal to her name. That's 4 goals and 3 assists, so adding to her tally. She has been involved in 7 out of the 9 points here for UCSB.
And I like there that Kwasnick was right on the goal line as well. She's the one who checked the disc back in, and the thrower started to look towards Kwasnick. You know what a strong person she is on their team, but they're not forcing it there. Kwasnick realizes, I don't have the best look at this, clears so Caitlin Weaver can make that. Weaver, she's had multiple goals in this game already, but that's a big moment. You need the break, but look for your most open option, and that really great play from Santa Barbara.
Absolutely. Trusting your system, letting your players work themselves in, and not trying to be the hero in the moment. It can be really easy to get caught up in that moment and try to make the big play and clog that space, but they did a really effective job of opening it up for the next cut.
But one break is not enough. So North Carolina will look to convert here. They get the disc. 3 handlers back, 4 cutters downfield. Get some handler movement going. And slides, but caught inside. Look to Colton. Sees Youngst. Nice S cut, and Colton keeps grinding. She's open for the score from North Carolina.
And Dawn Colton really getting kind of isolated in that spot right in front of Ella Youngst. It's not something you often see on, especially on the inside of the end zone, on those near corners of the end zone, but able to work that space. She cut up, wrapped it under, and scooped her defender a little bit. You see her start her cut up in front of Youngst here, does the 7 cut, comes back under again, and this time a little slide for the goal.
It's kind of like 2 7 cuts. I hesitated to call it an 8 cut, but because 8s are rounded, and that's generally a no-no in Ultimate, let's say it's like a pointy 8 or 2 7s together. But she really didn't give up. Sometimes you won't have success there because you're kind of clogged, but Colton making it work. So the soft cap just went on, but technically when Colton scored, that started the next point. So the final score of the game will be +2 for whatever the higher score is after this score. So Parker will pull. Had a great day so far. And a side stack to isolate Kwasnik in the deep space. Fagan gets good positioning, gets that block.
And you saw Kwasnik there in the cutting position, pointed to the end zone for Weaver to put up that huck, but didn't actually have separation from Fagan yet. So maybe Santa Barbara here getting a little bit too antsy to get more points on the board while they're aware of the time.
So Parker will check it in, puts up the throw. Foul called.
It looks like it's not contested right away there from Brown as well, who waves it off.
So Rippey will keep the disc. Looks for Shui. Over to Parker.
Just a quick discussion here on where the stall count will come back in as Weaver taps it in.
And that is high and floaty. Fagan working really hard to try and get that one back, but Kwasnik will pick up. Weaver slides to grab it. She launches and read very well. Elsa Winslow once again gets a score.
And a hold here for UCSB as well, and so it will be a game to 14 now, down by 2 points. They've slowly closed the gap a little bit. They need another break here, and then they could get a chance to go downwind, possibly to tie it up. And Caitlin Weaver, another assist to her name. She is having an incredible game right now.
So North Carolina is still up by 2, game to 14. And Weaver keeping it alive. And just wastes no time to find Winslow.
We're going to see a lot of the same players on the field here for UCSB. They're really working through their top core here to try to bring this game back. I think UNC has made a few subs, but getting their familiar O-line back out on the field to try to get the job done and bring it to game point for them. You get a shot there of Julia Kwasnik getting set to pull here for Santa Barbara.
So the pull lands right around, maybe just a smidge inside of half field. Smith gets a little stretch in before she picks up the disc. Goes towards the end zone, and Colton lays out. Eats some grass. She hit that ground hard.
Colton really flew to try to get to that disc. You can see this huck come up She was tracking it all the way, so much focus, her eyes on the disc, and yeah, she did hit the ground a little bit hard. Hopefully just winded. You can see her holding her stomach as she walks off the field there, and I think she'll be okay, but she really put everything on the line to get to that one, Emmy.
So she'll take an injury sub. That just knocks the wind out of you. But Santa Barbara will get the disc. Weaver will walk it up. Looks around to Kwasnick, that bounces up. Gives the chance for that to be caught. Offensive opportunity for North Carolina. And Meisner is in the end zone. That's 13 for North Carolina.
Looks like there might have been an attempted switch on defense from UCSB, which left Meisner wide open in the end zone. You see Worth there was able to rip that down out of the sky over Kwasnick. Smith comes under, and then the defense left Meisner right there, which made for an easy pass into the end zone for UNC.
So UNC in game point. UCSB in a must-score situation. But North Carolina, even when it was getting closer, you're taking care of business. Sun peeking through, more so than what we've seen so far. 9:30 local time on Sunday morning here in beautiful Round Rock, Texas. About 30 minutes, 40 minutes outside of Austin. So Parker will pull. That one gets a little more distance this time. This goes to Kwasnick. Two receivers going deep. They'll reset it instead. Continues over to Bedard. Childress underneath. Goes back to Kwasnick. And Weaver shoots! Just too far. Winslow was making the cut, but just slightly off.
Winslow has been able to find herself open in the end zone on multiple occasions in this game, so not surprised to see that shot come off. Just a little bit of an execution error there. Weaver has obviously had so many assists to her name, and we haven't seen a break in a little while here from UNC, so looking to get one to close the game out.
Wang over to Parker, and Parker tries to get it out of the end zone. Childress, is there enough to force that turn?
A little bit of pressure on UNC there as they got pushed back into Callahan territory there.
Hammer over the top to Weaver. Looking for that break. Gets to Kwasnick. Back and forth from Weaver. Looks for the give and go. And just outside the end zone, kind of double cuts from Santa Barbara. Shoots, and a foul's called.
You know, I'm not totally sure who got to the disc first there, Emmy. We'll get another look at it here. This disc goes around. It looked like UNC was in the space before Brown was able to make that layout. Monroe on the D, but It will be a contested foul and return to the thrower.
So just shy of the end zone. And that is a goal and a break for UC Santa Barbara.
I believe that was just a hold for UCSB here. They
Yes, it was.
keeping the gap between two, but they need a break badly. It's game point still for UNC, and if they hope to win this game, they've only got 9 minutes to go until hard cap. They've got to get 3 more points here and 3 straight breaks to win this one. It's a tall task. It's not impossible, but North Carolina just need a hold here to win it.
So North Carolina is still up by 2. They'll receive the disc. Looking to put it away. It's all tied up at 10s between Western Washington and Dartmouth, so that's another exciting game. And, you know, for this one, you look at the seeding, North Carolina the 1 seed, UCSB the 7 seed. You think, okay, this is going to be pretty one-sided, but North Carolina has maintained a lead after that first little part of the game, but been a pretty great back and forth so far.
Yeah, it really has, and I think part of that is due to the nature of how much both these teams are willing to fight for every single disc. We've seen lots of turnovers from both teams, but we've also seen a lot of incredible defensive plays to get that disc back. So neither team easily walked over in these situations, and it also speaks to the overall level of the division. The difference between the 1 to the 7 seed is not as much as it used to be, and therefore these teams in a much closer matchup.
You love to see that and hope that the parity here at college championships will translate into club championships as well. So Kwasnick will pull. Lands about half field. Smith walking up. Worth on the force side. Youngst going deep. Get it to Smith. And looking for the end zone. One-on-one. Intended for Don Colton. Goes out the back. So here's a break chance for UCSB to take it within 1.
Must score point here for UCSB. They got to go the full 70 yards.
Just sails overhead, but Childress closes in on that throw. Gets it back to Kwasnick. Nice continue on. Open underneath, even through coverage. There's Weaver with the disc. Looking for Kwasnick. And a bobble, just not keeping her eyes on the reset receiver. So some miscommunication. Here's the chance for North Carolina to close out this game. Smith wants to throw it deep to Youngst. Instead, she finds Worth. There's the dish and the strike up line. Slicing across. So North Carolina in the end zone offense. Attacks the break side. Goes to the ground to pick up and shoots to Dawn Colton. North Carolina has earned a trip to the semifinals.
UNC celebrating. They look so jubilant right now. They deserve this win. Not a perfect game from either team. Both teams really fighting it out here. But North Carolina going to the semifinals. UCSB can keep their heads held high. They put on a great show here today. A 14-11 win for UNC and a quarterfinal win on to semis that will be streamed on ESPN3 later this afternoon.
So North Carolina with the closest game that they've had so far in the tournament as far as the score will report. Good preparation to face either Western Washington or Dartmouth. So stay tuned. Flip on over to ESPN3. Find your login. Make sure your app is up to date. And for us, it's been a pleasure presenting this USA Ultimate live stream produced by Fulcrum Media. For more information, go to collegechampionships.usaultimate.org. For Becky Thompson, I'm Emmy Fitzgerald. Thanks for watching.